The Ansaldo shipyard in Genoa, 1887. The technical requirements for the vessel exceeded the standard engineering solutions of the era from the outset. The client insisted on a hull with enhanced resistance to explosive loads and a power plant rated for prolonged, continuous operation. The engineers applied an unconventional metallurgical approach. The construction employed an alloy derived from remelted anchors of sunken ships. Laboratory analysis revealed anomalously high tensile strength indicators. At the launching ceremony in November 1887, several independent witnesses recorded a rare atmospheric phenomenon, a localized fog vortex of vertical orientation, presumably caused by a temperature differential between the water and the air. The catamaran-type hull measured 316 feet in length, with a beam of 62 feet. The vessel's first commander, Alessandro Venturi, was hospitalized with a diagnosis of acute paranoid psychosis and died in the clinic 14 months later. The last phrase recorded in his medical file read, "She breathes deeper than I do." In the spring of 1895, the Kamuna departed Genoa, carrying small arms for the British colonial garrison in Bombay. On the 20th day of the voyage, the Instrument Division recorded a persistent deviation of the magnetic compass that resisted standard deviation correction. The deviation vector pointed toward hold number 3, a compartment sealed since the vessel's construction. Upon opening, an isolated space was discovered containing a periodic acoustic signal of undetermined origin. That same night, 38 of the 42 crew members independently reported identical hallucinatory episodes involving the sensation of drowning, which may indicate mass poisoning by toxic fumes from the hold. 3 crew members perished. Captain Nielsen was fatally wounded by a ricochet during the suppression of the subsequent mutiny. The surviving crew reached the port of destination. Over the following 12 months, all survivors died in circumstances involving exposure to water. The probability of a coincidental series of fatal outcomes sharing a single etiological marker is statistically negligible. In 1912, the vessel underwent technical modernization and was refitted for passenger transport. Systematic complaints regarding anomalous temperature drops in the cabins, falling to 46 degrees Fahrenheit with the heating system operating normally, may indicate compromised hull insulation or unidentified convection processes within the bulkheads. In April of that year, radio operator Marco Rossi recorded a series of transmissions on the standard maritime frequency, containing coordinates designated as future sites of loss. One entry precisely matched the location of the Titanic disaster, which occurred several hours later. Rossi violated the order of radio silence and directed a warning to the coastal station at Cape Race. He was found dead the following morning. The pathological anatomy report recorded cardiac arrest in the absence of any organic pathology. The subsequent identification of Rossi's body among the victims of the Titanic, given the documented presence of the vessel in New York Harbor at the time, constitutes an unexplained forensic contradiction. In September 1943, the Kamuna, held in preservation at a dry dock in Baku, was recorded by the guard detail as having left its berth independently without tugboat assistance. 7 days later, the submarine Sh-203 struck a contact mine 30 miles from Sevastopol. The depth at the site of the sinking was approximately 275 feet, and the rate of descent precluded standard evacuation procedures. The commander recorded the appearance of an unidentified vessel on bearing in his report. The entire crew, 38 men, was found aboard the Kamuna without injuries. The evacuation timeline of 4 minutes does not conform to any known emergency submarine abandonment protocol. All survivors lived statistically normal lifespans. Notably, 36 of the 38 men independently described, in deathbed testimonies, the same acoustic phenomenon, the sound of a bell at 440 Hz in the hours preceding death. The convergence of frequency across independent witnesses warrants separate investigation. Analysis of satellite monitoring data over the past decade and a half has revealed a persistent anomaly. In several maritime zones, radar systems register a silhouette consistent with the profile of the Kamuna, while hydroacoustic stations detect no object at the same coordinates. Such a discrepancy between radar and sonar response has not been described in the standard literature on marine sensing physics. In parallel, amateur radio operators across dozens of countries continue to receive a repeating signal on a frequency removed from international regulation in 1999. A number of specialists in the field of oceanography have proposed the hypothesis of the object periodically transitioning between different states of physical observability. For comparison, the actual vessel, Kamuna, launched in 1913 with identical dimensions, carries aboard a deep-sea submersible with an operational ceiling exceeding 3,000 feet and remains in active fleet service to this day, a unique case in world naval history. The phenomenon of the Kamuna has yet to receive an exhaustive scientific explanation and continues to demand systematic study.